Do you think AI is a cheap replacement? Because in reality, it's currently like having an intern who's slightly drunk. Creative professionals from all around the world are freaking out.
AI machines to flood the internet with propaganda and fake news. Should we develop non-human minds?
AI is being used for scripting, for shooting and producing movies.
Now I know this sounds scary, but in reality, designers are going to be the biggest customers of AI because anybody at any age, from any background, can learn the basics of using AI tools. So if you're a fresher who doesn't know what to do, or a professional who's worried about job safety, or even an entrepreneur trying to build a business, then this one single video is going to give detailed answers to what all AI can and cannot do for you, what are the exact skills you need to learn, and most importantly, how do you plan your career in this post-AI world? I gave this session in San Francisco, California, in collaboration with Design Buddies and Gen AI Collective. Dozens of senior product designers, founders, and CTOs from the Silicon Valley came to attend it, and this is what they had to say.
Hello, I love the framework for how to put together a prompt and breaking it down into different parts of the anatomy.
I have not actually encountered anyone who is so eloquent and also so action-oriented in his advice.
The design of the presentation itself was gorgeous.
That was the best event I ever saw.
I really enjoyed his talk. I thought it was really insightful and it helped me think about ways to combine AI tools.
It was a great experience here in SF. Can't wait to see more about Ansh.
There are a lot of exciting things in this video. So without further ado, let's get started. So raise your hand if you're a professional designer. How many of you are professional designers? Oh, like 50%, all right. And if you're not a designer, who all is not a designer? Yeah, that's the majority of the crew. Very interesting. How many of you have seen the latest OpenAI Sora demos? Mind-blowing stuff, isn't it? I saw this output a few days ago, and this is also generated by Sora. And you know, everyone is raging on Twitter. They're saying this will absolutely change the stock footage industry. B-roll business people are going to go out of jobs. Video editing is going to get replaced. But the truth is, nobody really knows. And if you look at it from a very practical lens, when you see such frameworks coming in, how many of you know about this? This is called model detection, pose detection, where you can put in a JPEG of any person, rig up a model and add movement to it. And you can take it to the next level by replacing the outfits, replacing the face. And when these things happen, you often wonder, what exactly is the future of content? And how would these businesses navigate? While many stock companies will shut, unfortunately, a few will always make money and survive. The question is, who? A lot of people say every stock company will die, but the truth is, if you have 5 players in the market, the player who has the maximum stock for training will win. So is it right to say that data is the moat? Not really. Just saying data is the moat is not enough, because the truth is, you not only need data, but teams who understand AI training as well. So if we have a company like Invato or even Shutterstock, who one day decides that because we have the maximum training data, let's become an AI-enabled company, things won't work out well unless they have people who understand both content and AI training. But is this just about making videos? Do you really feel that OpenAI is trying to make text to video just to make $20 a month? The story gets deeper. Because if you scroll at the bottom of their landing page, you see there's one very interesting paragraph that says Sora serves as a foundation for models that can understand and simulate the real world, a capability we believe will be an important milestone for achieving AGI. So it's very interesting that this is not about selling $20 apps. Everything is leading to build AGI. All of these mini efforts are eventually going to compound for a game which is way bigger than what we're seeing today. So the agenda for today is split into 3 modules. In module 1, I want to introduce some very important mindset shifts that you need to know that unfortunately very few people are talking about. In module 2, I'll share you my AI trade secrets that I have been using as a consultant in India. I've been helping designers save a lot of time, and this is not one of those superficial things you'd see on Instagram. This thing really works. And at the very end, roadmaps and next steps. So folks, let's start with module number 1. What are these important mindset shifts that 90% people are lacking? Number 1, people think AI is going to be a cheap replacement. To be honest, it's going to be like an intern who's slightly drunk. So you can never really trust directly. And that is the way you need to see these things for now. I love this quote. It says, I don't fear artificial intelligence, I fear natural stupidity, right? Because anytime I show demos of these tools, people are like, oh, are we going to get out of jobs? This is going to fix my life forever. No, please, let's be real about this. I know that AI is super smart, but you're very stupid if you think this is going to replace everything that you do. Your day-to-day work is actually split into two categories, and I'm sure every one of us will agree that half of it is execution and the other is ideation. Now, for a very long time, a lot of people were paid only for execution, which means that if you know a bit of software, if you know how to click a few buttons on a UI, you were getting paid. Execution was very valuable. But very soon, the value of execution is going to go down, and the value of ideation is going to go up and up. Even today, when a person moves from an individual contributor to a manager, that manager is essentially paid for her ability to ideate. So she starts as an executor, but eventually she becomes a great ideator and a great manager. But moving forward, everyone would be expected to become a great ideator. Now, before we move ahead, I simply want us to understand the flow of how human beings work with AI. And of course, this is a highly simplified version. But on the very top, the human recognizes and thinks about the problem. Because AI doesn't live in the real world, we live in the real world. We know the problems that we are facing. Step number one, the human thinks about the problem. Step number two, human prompts AI. And when I say the word prompt, prompt is just a fancy way of saying that we give context and give constraints. Prompting is nothing but our ability to set context and add constraints. When you give the prompt to AI, the AI gives you a result. And by default, you know that the result is not practical. So as a human being, we validate the result and build on top of that result. And once we've built on top of that result, it is the human being who delivers to all the stakeholders. Now, for a very long time, we were paid just for execution. So if you know how to get a result, that was more than enough. But very soon, we are going to be paid for our ability to think, which is step number one, our ability to define the right problem, to refine the problem statement, and to prioritize which problem to solve first. Because if you're a CEO of the company and you have an AI tool for every department of your company, you need to be smart enough to decide which problem do I need to solve today. Because you have an AI tool for marketing, would you start working on marketing before working on product? Not really. So even though you will have all the tools at your disposal, the most valuable thing that you can have is your ability to refine your problem statements and prioritizing them. Step number two, you're going to be paid for your ability to prompt and use AI. And we've already discussed that. And of course, you'll be paid to validate AI results and then improvise on top of them. But at the very end, this is the last step that is extremely underrated. You will be paid for your ability to influence your stakeholders and sell ideas. A skill which is very difficult to learn. Now, the interesting part here is, and you would also agree with this, the most valuable skills in the world can't be taught, but they can be learned. And this is from Naval Ravikant, not from me. So would companies start firing everyone? No. Companies will simply start expecting more from you. So instead of giving you 10 days, maybe they will expect the same things in 7 days. I saw another very interesting tweet. It says, if you're not working multiple jobs with ChatGPT, you're leaving money on the table. This is extremely toxic. But this signals, this signals something very important. This signals the fact that one guy is now able to run multiple operations because of these tools. Now, of course, this is an extremely exaggerated version of how it will play out. But what I'm trying to say is that artists are going to be the biggest customers of AI. They're not going to be replaced by AI. It is going to be creative people buying these subscriptions the first. Now, you would be noticing that there is 3 icons at the bottom. So because we have 3 modules, in every module we have takeaways. And we have just unlocked the first takeaway. And there are 2 more takeaways in this module. Sam Altman recently said that there soon is going to be a $1 billion company run by just one person. You remember that screenshot? That screenshot is a signal to the same outcome. This quote is a signal to the same outcome. That you would no longer need 10 different people to build an MVP. You would no longer need massive budgets to run a marketing campaign. How many of you understand the concept of arbitrage? Have you heard about this word? Oh, interestingly, very few people. Thank God I've added complicated slides to this. So let's assume there are 2 different markets. Okay, I'm going to explain it to you as if we are all in middle school. Let's assume there are two different markets. There's market A and then we have market B. In market A, there are a lot of logo designers. So the supply of logo designers is really, really high. And because the supply is really high, the demand is low. So you can only make around $50 per logo. Makes sense? In market B, we have no logo designers. And by the way, geographically, market A and market B are just 100 kilometers away. They're not like extremely far away, but there is some distance between these two markets. Now, because in market B, the supply for logo designers is really low, you can make up to $100 per logo. So it's the same service, but because it's in a different market, in a different bubble, you can make more money. Arbitrage is the concept of picking people from market A and then selling their services in market B. Now, why am I explaining this? Because as a professional, you cannot expect to learn some AI tools and expect to earn high forever. The entire game of these AI tools is that you would learn an AI tool and you have this very short window, like a 2 to 3 month long window. And you can make money in those 2 to 3 months. But after 2 to 3 months, everyone will know what you know today. So the truth is, there is a limited window for making money that shrinks as time passes by. And this is the second key takeaway. That you can't say, oh, I am a mid-expert, now I'm sorted forever. Because you're playing on arbitrage. This is not a lifelong skill. And most importantly, all of us need to learn what AI can and cannot do. I find so many reels talking about what AI can do, but very few people actually identify what AI cannot do. And as a great decision maker, you need clarity on both of these things. Now, let me give you a quick example. In the design industry, I saw a bunch of LinkedIn posts saying, oh, you can now use chat to make user personas and information architectures and save money on marketing. What a bullshit recommendation. That's the worst recommendation. You would never hear a professional designer write that. So the thing is, you don't use chat for creating user personas, but you can use chat to find gaps in how you approach your research. So you go to chat, say that, hey, I'm working on a medical app. I'm probably going to interview students. Can you tell me the kind of questions I should ask them? And then use chat to come up with better questions to ask those human beings in the real world. That is how you use chat to fill in the gaps. A lot of people say that you should probably write an article or an email, put it into ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to build on top of that, to improve it. Terrible advice. Never use AI to refine your final draft. Always use AI for your first draft and then build on top of that. So if you're writing a LinkedIn post, you go to ChatGPT and say, this is what I'm working on. This is my target audience. Give me 5 pointers that I need to consider. You use it for your first draft. But then 80% of the journey is then because of your brain and your nuance and your expertise. A lot of people say, plan your trip with ChatGPT, the worst thing ever. Not sure if any of you have tried doing that. Try it. You will be absolutely stunned at how terrible it is. But you can ask ChatGPT, what all should I consider while planning? That if I'm going in this month to this city, what are the things that I need to take care of? So yes, if I had to put this in an interesting table, and thank you, Matt, for recommending this. If the task at hand is finding out common keywords and headlines in your competition's website, this is a task that has a clear prescription to it. There is no innovation in going to your competition's website. But do you need empathy for it? No. Is it dynamic? Does it change with time? No. Because if this is execution-based, there should be an AI fix for this. But if I tell you that if you're working in a new startup and you need to figure out how to make users comfortable accepting self-driving taxis, or self-driving buses, how do you position this into the market? Never take ChatGPT advice because this requires a lot of empathy. It's dynamic. It's heavily dependent on current emotions. This means this is an ideation and empathy-based task. You never use AI for something like that. So the last takeaway from Module 1 is that it's equally important to know what AI cannot do. Now, before I move to Module 2, let's quickly revise the top 3 key takeaways. Number 1, artists are not going to be replaced. Artists are going to be the biggest customers of AI. That's a big mindset shift. Number 2, you need to stay updated on a regular basis because the arbitrage window shrinks with time. So no skill remains valuable for more than 3 to 4 months. And at the very end, learn what AI can and cannot do for you. But none of this theory is going to work for you until unless you have a clear call to action. So the call to action from Module 1 is that you need to go back home and list areas where you are ideating and executing at work. Just ask yourself that if I'm working 6 hours a day, how many hours am I ideating? How many hours am I executing? And that will tell you if you're in the danger zone. Because if a lot of your day-to-day work is just about executing and following prescriptions, then you need to rethink the way you are doing work. Number 2, rate yourself for each area. You need to figure out if you're a great ideator or a great executor. And goes without saying, if you're a terrible ideator and a great executor, you need to rethink. You have a window of around 1 or 2 years, and that's a big enough window to fix. And at the very end, check if you're a great ideator or executor. So let's start with module 2, AI trade secrets. Thank God we've come to module 2 because I'm done with the theory. Let's get right down to business. Let's actually understand how do we use this practically. It's very interesting how robots are making art and humans are stuck in offices doing 9-to-5 jobs. When all of this started, we thought, oh, this is going to be such an amazing time. Robots are going to do everything for us and we will be free forever. And it's very interesting how the tables have completely turned. So I have 3 use cases that I want to share with you. And I've been using these things for the past 5 to 6 months. So I can validate them for you that these use cases are real. Number 1, I'm using AI to break down inspiration, to make sense of the inspiration that I collect. Number 2, I'm getting visual design feedback on almost everything I create. And at the very end, this is a very niche-based use case, but if you're a content creator or a YouTuber, or if you work in marketing, I've been using AI to create B-roll, and I'll show you how it works. Let's go with number 1, breaking down inspiration. I use this website called Mobin. It's by a friend of mine. Great website to get product inspiration. Now, before I show you the prompts I put inside ChatGPT, I want to quickly share a framework that I use to get the most out of ChatGPT. And this works on the free plan, this works on the paid plan as well. I have a 4-part checklist that I use anytime I'm writing a great prompt. Number 1, I always assign a role. And you'll understand what this means once I show you the prompt. Number 2, I set the context and I define the task as to what exactly do you need to even do in the first place. Then I will add constraints. And of course, all of this will make sense in just 10 seconds. But at the very end, I set the right expectations as to what do I expect from ChatGPT. Now, if I prompt, act as a senior UI designer who specializes in iOS mobile onboarding experiences, this is where I'm setting a role. Next, I'll feed you 3 screenshots. Each screenshot shows the onboarding flow for an iOS app. Makes sense? I am designing a new onboarding flow for an app that helps college students find flatmates. I need you to study all the 3 apps I show you. Then you need to list out common UI patterns they have, list out all the differences they have, and also point out 2 good and 2 bad things each has done in their UI design. Imagine the amount of time it would take to do this manually, by the way. Keep your answers short and to the point. Speak from the lens of a UX designer. Give all answers in well-formatted headings and bullet points. Now, if I had to break this down in the checklist, sentence number 1, assigning the role. Then this is where I was setting the context. What am I doing? Why are you here? What do I expect from you? Set the constraints that I want differences, I want 2 good things, I want 2 bad things. Be extremely specific of what you want. And then set the expectations as to, I don't want terrible buzzwords. Please make sure that you're sticking to the point. And by the way, if you want more prompts, this is like a complete ebook. It has like thousands of prompts and we'll share this deck. So don't worry about getting prompts. So yeah, I would upload the screenshot inside ChatGPT, paste the prompt in less than 10 seconds. It would find common UI patterns. It would end up finding all the good things and bad things in each of the UIs. It would also tell me everything that I would have earlier done with just my eyes, which is incredible. Now, would I blindly believe what this says? No, but this is a great starting point. And you can do this for brochures, marketing PDFs, literally anything in the world that can be seen visually. So takeaway number 1, AI is super good at finding patterns, way better than our eyes. Second use case, getting visual design feedback. So this is not about UI, this is about getting feedback on marketing material. So I had a meetup, I had a social media carousel, I wanted feedback. I wrote the prompt, act as a marketing designer specializing in LinkedIn carousel design for social media. Notice how specific I am. I have a meetup coming up. I want you to critique my promotional carousel. It has 4 slides. You need to scan the screenshot and give me feedback on visual design, copy, and colors. In a marketing carousel, these are the 3 components that matter the most. It is literally the visual design, the copy, which is a fancy way to use the word text. It's the text, and colors. The goal is to get them to register. I need you to only tell me areas where I can improve, followed by a CTA to fix that. This one single sentence is a game changer. I always ask ChatGPT to give me a CTA. I also need you to give me 3 more concrete, distinct, and powerful ideas that will make this carousel more effective. In the end, I also asked for a caption. And as you'd expect, within 10 seconds, I uploaded the JPEG, pasted the prompt, I got feedback on the visual design, got feedback on the copy. It gave me 3 concrete ideas to improve it as well. And it's amazing how all of this information is democratized. This is highest level of feedback, which was restricted if you had a great college or a great mentor. This was never ever available before. And of course, it gave a terrible caption. I never used ChatGPT for captions. Yeah, this is the worst use case, but I would still get it. Sometimes I would find like an interesting idea. And I would again repeat the flowchart because folks, you never blindly believe what AI gives you. So it's your responsibility to validate it and build on top of it. Please don't forget that. Takeaway number 2, you will be paid for setting context, adding constraints, and validating. We've already discussed this, but I just thought that this is an important takeaway to remember again. Last use case, I've been using Midjourney for YouTube B-roll. Now, this has been a game changer for me. All of these scenes that you see, they've been created in Midjourney. But then you'd be wondering, Midjourney gives you JPEGs, right? So how do you make it into a video? This is how we do it. So I run a podcast, and we had Mehra, the author of Hooked, on the podcast, and he was talking about Plato and artists. And I was like, I can't find a good enough stock video for this. I went to Midjourney, created JPEGs. I downloaded the JPEGs, uploaded them on Photoshop. And in Photoshop, you have this very cool feature where you can isolate the subject. So it has this feature called Select Subject. I wouldn't go deep into it, but you can always go back home and Google that. And it basically helps you isolate the main subject. I took the subject and background and I put them in Adobe After Effects, which is a video editing tool. And there I was able to, animate, add a few lens flares and these dirt particles. And then everybody in the comment section was like, how are you making these things? Now, as a YouTuber, imagine the amount of control I have. I can decide what to show, how to show, the artistic style, everything. And this was never possible before. And it's crazy how this is the latest worst AI will ever be. If you really think about it, this is the worst that AI will ever be. So things are only going to go up from here. But the important question is, Ansh, what do we do now? Because if you're saying one tool is not enough, how do we get maximum leverage? I would recommend you folks to get more creative and figure out if you can combine tools together. Am I using just Midjourney? No, I'm actually combining Midjourney with Photoshop, with After Effects. And that is my competitive advantage. Because if I were learning just Midjourney, that's such a short arbitrage window. But the arbitrage for this is probably going to be 5 to 6 months. It's going to take a lot of time for other people to catch up on this. So yeah, another very, very important lesson that I want to share is that people use AI in the most obvious ways ever. They're totally very, very uncreative when it comes to using AI. I make a lot of YouTube roadmap videos. And by the way, if any of you is trying to crack YouTube, just make 30-minute long roadmap videos. That keyword does very well. Now, the issue with roadmaps is that you need to sell frameworks. People love frameworks and mental models. The issue is coming up with frameworks is very tiring. So I literally go to ChatGPT and say, I am making a YouTube video on how to plan your 2024. These are the 5 things I'm teaching. Give me 5 suggestions for putting all of these steps in an acronym framework. And it would come up with interesting framework names. And then audit was one of them. I literally gave like 5 things and it said audit should be your framework and this should be the full form. And so what exactly did I do here? I used my own brain to summarize my own experiences. I didn't outsource that to AI. But then I used AI to come up with interesting frameworks, to repackage it in a way that is easy to digest. So the last key takeaway is that you need to start using AI in ways where it's almost impossible to catch. That is the real art. If people can catch you using AI, what's the point? So you need to use AI in ways where it's almost negligible to point out what you're doing. Before coming to module 3, let's quickly revise the takeaways. Number 1, AI is super good at finding patterns across subjects. You need to leverage that power. Number 2, you need to learn how to set context, how to add constraints, and how to review AI-based work. So that checklist that I shared you, try to practice that checklist in your ChatGPT prompts. At the very end, you need to start using AI in ways where it's almost unrecognizable. What is the call to action? Number 1, use ChatGPT to get feedback on visual design. That could be your logo, marketing material, anything. Go back home, try it out. Number 2, brainstorm with AI on any project that you're working on. Literally just go to ChatGPT, say, this is what I'm working on. Tell me if there are any gaps in the way I'm approaching this. At the very end, I would recommend you folks to document whatever you have learned, post it on LinkedIn with an AI-generated image, and see if you get more impressions. Before I share you the roadmaps and steps, please be mindful that don't blindly accept and follow what I say, by the way. Like, you just need to, just don't get overexcited and just accept whatever I say. I never do that for anyone. You should never do that as well. So what you need to do is you need to pick and choose what works for you. Take everything that you've learned from me today, validate it yourself. I saw this very cool image that says, Buddha, what makes us human? Selecting all images with traffic lights. It has... And the irony is that those traffic light images are being used to train AI. I hope you guys know that the entire reason why they have CAPTCHA is to train their own AI models. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. And the most important thing for you to know is that folks don't focus on tool specialties. So if you're buying a course or a program for a specific coding language, for a specific software, you're running the wrong race. And explore combination of tools, because that is still a better game to play. These are some combinations that I've been using. So I've been using Figma with Midjourney and ChatGPT, not for UI. So Midjourney is terrible at UI, but great for stock images, logos, fake names, stuff like that. ChatGPT for fake UI copy. If I'm making a UI dashboard, I need fake metrics, fake company names. Quickly use ChatGPT for that. Midjourney, Photoshop, After Effects, I already showed you. If any of you here are in the marketing or in the photography industry, then use Magnific AI. It's an incredible tool. Not gonna go deeper into it, but go back home, check out Magnific. The combination of Midjourney with Magnific is an extremely powerful combination for a person who works with photos. I saw this on another meme. Criminals will start wearing extra prosthetic fingers to make surveillance footage look like it's AI generated and thus inadmissible as evidence. And it's so interesting, right? No matter how strong AI gets, human beings will always find a way to bend the laws. So yes, you will get paid for your ability to put things together. As I said, in the earlier days, you were getting paid for just doing some things on the desk, right? But very soon, if you're able to put things together, like that Twitter guy, where he had 5, 6 desktops, of course, not in that level, but being able to find patterns. And of course, your ability to work on a tool is good, but your ability to think and stitching things together and selling is going to be the most valuable thing that you can ever have. Would experience and software skills matter? No, I think being able to deliver will matter the most, because the entire market is now becoming outcome driven. Companies are saying that if I want to hire a fresher, if this guy is getting outcomes, that's great. I don't want a person with 50 years of experience. I want someone who can get outcomes. And getting outcomes is now becoming easier and easier if you're aware of these tools. And one more highly underrated area, and we're almost at the end, please make sure you focus on your mental and physical health throughout this year. Because I know I'm sounding crazy, but I think after 10 years, just being healthy is going to be a very big deal. I'm pretty sure companies are going to say, give us your blood reports. We're going to check if you're healthy or not. Because I think a lot of these social media apps and a lot of laziness will influence our physical bodies and our mental health. And none of these tools are going to work if your health is not with you. And unfortunately, very few people talk about it. Anytime a junior guy comes to me and says, Ansh, what should I do? I first tell them, are you investing in your sleep and nutrition? Because none of these things matter if your sleep and nutrition are not optimized. So yes, brace yourself. A lot of QR codes coming in case you want to take pictures. Don't scan, take pictures. Otherwise, you'll get distracted. Number 1, this is my playlist for all the AI tools that I've just discussed. So of course, today was very theoretical. I had very limited time. But this QR code will lead you to my YouTube channel. And on my YouTube channel, I have detailed masterclasses on every single thing that I've discussed today. If any of you are interested in design, I have now started to teach about spatial design. Of course, this is not a spatial class, but I personally feel very, very excited about the world of AR and VR. Just got the Vision Pro. I think this is a great market to enter. So if you're interested in that, this is the QR code for that. I've also launched a platform called LearnUIUX.in, where you can learn about design for free. It's a 9-week syllabus, everything in depth. After these 9 weeks worth of videos, there would be nothing left for you when it comes to a foundational perspective. So this is the only resource that you'd need. A quick summary of all the 6 takeaways in case you want them. So you can just take a picture of this. This one picture is good enough. You'll remember everything once you see this one JPEG. So these are all the takeaways. And the other slide is all on the call to actions. So these are all the 6 call to actions summarized on a single slide. I'm telling you folks, don't underestimate the call to actions. If you do even 2 of these, you will feel really, really satisfied with all the time that you spent here today. That's my email. Hope you had a good time. This is my first time here. And thank you so much, Grace. I think you can come and take the stage. If you enjoyed this video, then do check out this video of the same series. I am sure that it will help you even more.